Today we are solving equations from word problems. This is number 1 on your worksheet. It says, among the career home run leaders for Major League Baseball, Hank Aaron has 175 fewer than twice the number that Dave Winfield has. Hank Aaron has 755 home runs. Write an equation for this situation. How many home runs did Dave Winfield hit in his career? So we want to go back and read it and underline important information. So among the career home run leaders for Major League Baseball, Hank Aaron has 175 fewer than twice the number that Dave Winfield has. Hank Aaron has 755 home runs. Write an equation for this situation. How many home runs did Dave Winfield hit in his career? So I'm going to circle our question, how many home runs? And so before you do word problems, you always want to define your variables. And so I know my question is asking, how many home runs did Dave Winfield hit in his career? So I'm going to use H to stand for number of home runs. And that is the only variable I need since that's all I'm trying to find is number of home runs. So then I need to write my equation. And so when you're writing your equation, you want to be very careful to go back into the problem and really think about what each part that we underline is talking about. And so I know that when I see the word fewer, that I'm going to use a subtraction symbol somewhere in there. And I know when I see twice the number stands for multiplication. Okay, so that means 2 times the number. And so, well, what is the number? Well, we don't know. And so that's where our variable comes in. So we said that our variable was H. And so when we see twice the number that Dave Winfield has, well, H stands for the number of home runs that Dave Winfield has. And so when you see 175 fewer, that's another one of those turnaround words. So even though it came first in the problem, it's saying whatever this part is, we now have Aaron has 175 less than that. Okay, and so we definitely want to start off with this 2, so twice the number means 2. So 2 times the number of home runs that Dave Winfield has. And then that means Hank Aaron has 175 fewer, so minus 175. And so an equation always has an equal sign. Well, this is equal to what Hank Aaron has, which is 755. So let me break this down one more time. So this 2H stands for twice the number of home runs that Dave Winfield has. We said H stands for the number of home runs. Let me clarify. For Dave Winfield. So that's our unknown. And Hank Aaron has 175 less than that, so that's where the minus 175 equals the total number that Hank Aaron has, which they gave us was 755. So this is our equation, and now we want to solve. And so I know that you all know when we have an equation like this, we want to first move the 175 over to the other side of the equal sign. So we're going to add 175. Add 175, so that cancels out, bring down our 2H equals, and I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator, and 755 plus 175 is 930, so then I know I want to divide by 2 on both sides, and so H equals 465, and so my solution is 465 home runs. Okay, so number 2 says find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is 114. And so this term consecutive means in order. So for example, that might be 4, 5, 6, or 20, 21, 22. Just some examples. And so find 3 consecutive integers or whole numbers whose sum is 114. So we know sum is addition, and we want our total to be 114. So first we're going to define our variables. So since we're just finding numbers or integers, I'm going to use n to stand for my first number. I know that I need 3 numbers. Okay, so I know I need 3 numbers in order, but if I can find my first number, then I automatically will know my next 2 numbers. Because if I know my first number is 4, I know my next 2 numbers have to be 5 and 6, and so on. So for my equation, I know, I'm going to actually start with my ending. I know that whatever I'm come up with at the beginning, I know the sum of whatever I come up with has to equal 114. Well, these 3 random integers need to add up to 114. So I said n stands for my first number. Well, I know I need to add another number. Well, the next number has to be 1 more than n. So again, going back to my example, if n is 4, then my next number would have to be 5. So whatever my number is, my first number, n, then I know my next one has to be n plus 1 more than n. And then I know the third number has to be n plus 2, because it's 2 numbers after it. So for example, going back to our 4, 5, 6 example, if 4 is my first number, 5 is 1 more than that, and 6 is 2 more than that. So we have our first number, our second number, and our third number should all add up to 114. Okay, and so now it's just a matter of solving it like you guys know how to do. So I see some like terms in here. So I see an n, another n, and 1 more n. So that would be 3 n's. And then I see some regular numbers I can combine together. So I have 1 and 2, which makes 3, equals 114. And so now, continuing to solve, that's my two-step equation. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract. Let me get a different color here. Subtract 3 to cancel out over here. Bring down my 3n and my equal sign. And 114 minus 3 is 111. And of course, since this is multiplication in the problem, my last step is going to be divide both sides by 3. And so my n will equal, handy dandy calculator, pull it out, is 37. And so if n is 37, that means my first number is 37, because we said that was what n stood for. That means my second number has to be 38, and my third number has to be 39. So these are 3 consecutive integers that would add up to 114. And if you take your calculator and add up 37 plus 38 plus 39, it adds up to 114.